I don't know why I'm still typing. You guys can hear me, I think. Can you hear me? Just make sure that you can hear me. I'm using a completely different service right now, which is why I'm a little bit discombobulated at the moment. Trying to figure out how this all goes. I'm using Restream tonight. Restream is a lot like what I was using for the other streams, in the sense that it actually does simulcast. So I'm hoping that people come around tonight can actually help me test a few things out. That would help me out a ton, because I'm just trying to see the pluses and minuses. The cool thing about this particular service is that Restream, like Streamlabs, gives you this. It gives you a multicasting, like a multi broadcast kind of setting, so that allows you to send out to multiple places all at once. So right now you're actually able to see this stream not only here on Twitch, is where you're probably seeing me right now, because that's where most people are coming to see me. But there's also I have a YouTube channel. Let me link it to you so you can sort of check it out really fast, just to confirm that you can see it. I'll link you the channel right here. I'm not positive how I can actually. I'm going to link it to. I'm going to try a couple things here. Try putting it here. You'll get it there for sure. I'm wondering, do you see this next message? I think you should. Cool thing about this, I can also do this kind of stuff. Not that that really helps, because you can't click on that link, which is kind of poop. That'd be really cool if they integrated that, where that big display there would actually get. Okay, well, awesome. So you can actually. Okay, good. So that's working. This first time I've ever tried to do a simulcast, so it's there's a lot of moving parts. The coolest thing about this is that there's this one integrated sort of chat interface here that allows me to see where the comments are coming from. And like, for instance, like this, I can show this message. It doesn't show you the badge on my the chat interface. I can see that. Oh, another thing that's missing is my chat overlay is not there. We go. So this way, from now on, you should see the. I haven't removed any of the Restream branding. I didn't have time. Yeah, that is pretty cool. So I assume that you see what I see, which is, did my picture get smaller? Like, did I become a smaller image? And then there's like a blue background, and there's like a sidebar with all the chat now. Is that what you guys see? Okay, cool. Yeah, and then I like this for lots of reasons. I think it's cool that, I can still showcase comments that I think are particularly interesting. I'm sure this is really good for busy streams where there's lots of comments are flying by, and then the person streaming wants to call out somebody for saying something really funny. You could also do other things, like there's a million things here. I can put something like this. Hey, Clark. Test. I see your message. See, I'm getting that message. I'm not even looking at my channel right now. It's all getting fed into this Restream. And you can see, the badges. You can see where people are actually commenting from. I can make my own little custom little text badges here and stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of digging it. There's the one thing that I don't like about this is that I can't, I sacrifice a lot of screen real estate by doing the chat. It would be nice if it was kind of like just an overlay, like in Twitch, where it doesn't because now suddenly I'm teeny weeny. So I want to show my chat stream. I have to sacrifice a whole pile of my desktop. And that wouldn't work very well if I was trying to stream like a demonstration. That would be no good, because then the screen would be really little on the left. Not great, in my opinion. It also doesn't show me how many users are connected through here that I can tell. Oh, no, there is. It shows me 6. Oh, that's cool, man. That's super cool. It shows me there's six people watching. One over at YouTube and one over at 5 over at Twitch. That's cool. That it gives me a breakdown. It just kind of gives me an idea right in the midstream where people are connecting from. That's pretty cool. Hopefully you guys don't mind me doing this really quick. I don't get a chance to test it because you kind of have to go live to test it. And so it's I'd only do it like once or twice a week. So, and this is the first time I've tested this. Yeah, I figured you were a duplicate. I had a feeling. Okay, so let me just take a quick look here around at other things that I can do. It's cool. I can do that. I can share my screen. So this is where things get really interesting. But I mean, I'll wait. I know there's people that just submitted stuff, so I'll send. What I'll be doing is I'll be sending people that did send me stuff that don't mind being on the show to test this whole thing out. What I want to do is, if you in Discord, just check for the link, and if you click on that link, you'll be brought to Restream, and you'll kind of be on the show, but you'll be kind of backstage. You'll sort of see the stream, and it allows me to then choose to bring you live in as a guest. And so the idea would be that we would look at your work, but we would look at it while you're on the call, so people can hear you. We can actually have a real conversation, which I feel like is going to make the experience a lot better. I forgot to mention, I was going to say the thing I don't like about all of this. The one thing that I can't seem to get my head around is all the cool Twitch interactive tools are all lacking here. There's no alert box. There's no cool you could still be doing cool things on Twitch. Like once I become affiliate, which should be pretty soon, I would imagine towards the end of this month, I should have enough numbers for affiliate status where you can actually have cool things like, people could use bits to do super cool things like cheers. I think those things could all be happening on Twitch, but I don't know if I would necessarily know about it, because if I'm looking here in this interface, I don't get any feedback coming in here, which is not ideal, I don't think, because, the whole point is I feel like I should know about that when that happens. I guess theoretically, I just have that stream happening in the background and I would hear the alert. I don't know. I have to figure that out. That's something I had to get my head around, but I'm not too sure exactly how that's going to work yet. Let's see, what else can I do here? Oh, I can do this. That's trippy. There's a bunch of these little videos that you can just put up really quick. You can actually play full screen videos, which I think is really cool. Like I could even pre-record a video and you wouldn't even know it. You think it was live until I didn't, started not answering questions, and then just play it as it would look like a part of a stream. And then what else? I got cool backgrounds I can choose. Ooh, that's red. Whew. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I'll experiment more with this when I'm not. Oh, I can get rid of the Restream thing for now. I'll do that because what's the overlay? Oh, that's pretty cool. Sorry, I'm just nerding out. I apologize. Okay, so OBS Streamlabs can do something similar. No pre-recorded stuff. Yes, it can. So the pre-recorded stuff is well, you could do that too theoretically with Streamlabs OBS. You would just be, I guess. I mean, the difference here is it's optimized to like just have a video there and ready, and it's got this. You should see the interface. The interface is actually super cool. It gives you you get like it's hard to describe. Maybe I'll take a screen grab, and I'll take a screen grab right now. So I just show you guys in Discord. It's pretty cool for those who might be interested. Let me just do a little snippy snip. One sec. One of these guys, full screen. Oh, which one? Oh, I didn't want that. I want this one here. There we go. I'll send that over to you guys on Discord. So just give me a second. I just need to grab the work. I just have to grab the work that was submitted and get it ready so that I can send out some invites and then have you on the show. And we'll take a look at what I need to get some music in the background too. This is currently no good. That it feels like it's a black hole. So I'm going to go to Discord here. Just have to download the stuff. Okay. Where are you? Oh, hello, Miss Plant. OBS for the frame by frame streams, but I'm really starting to restream. Yeah, it's a very cool platform. So you have gone in there and taken a look? Because I mean, the coolest part is how easy it makes to have guests. For me to do this on a regular OBS setup, I would need to do like screen grabs from like some other video conferencing software. Like I'd have to have something like Zoom or something like it running on another monitor and just kind of grab people's video over. Seems like a lot of juggling to do. This is the link for us to be able to chat live, right? No. I haven't sent it out yet. The link is going to be a Restream link, which I'll send it to you in a moment. Oh, that's funny. Oh man, did it shut you down on Twitch? Where did it? Yeah, it looks like it removed it. I still see it interestingly up here though. Look, his that's really funny. It's funny that it kind of shot him down, but if I can show you that I still see it. Where the hell is it? Down here somewhere. Yeah, right here. Look. So that he posted this, it still shows up here in the feed, but it seems to be Gonzo from the actual Twitch stream, that link. Sorry, I made it so you can't post links. I'll be able to have more control over that for like people that are regulars that are showing up on my stream, but I kind of need to have a bit more. I need more. I need to be a bit more of a thing. I need a bit more of a commodity on Twitch and have a better status so that I can unlock a whole pile of cool settings for the community so that people that are regular can like post links because I trust you, but it stops bots from posting ridiculous links and doing stupid things. Not embarrassing at all. You're like in the principal's office. Twitch is Kevin, come to the principal's office, please. Kevin, please come to the principal's office. Let me see here. Yeah, that's exactly it, Miss Plant. I have the same. That's why I wanted to do the stream tonight with this, is because we're gearing up to use this for something pretty big, which you're aware of, obviously. Where and Restream seems to be an obvious choice for doing something like this. I think that's what we're leaning towards. We're going to have a bit of a dress rehearsal this week. Yeah, I think you're probably invited to that, I would imagine. And this seems to be a yeah. That's so funny. Don't be saying Ford Chematics in my room. Okay, that is totally taboo. But yeah, it's kind of hard to test the features unless you're actually doing a stream, which is sort of what everyone in here right now is doing for me. They're kind of allowing me to be they're giving themselves, or sacrificing themselves on the altar of the guinea pig. Okay, so let's make this a little bit more interesting and do something here. I'm going to give me a second and go over here and actually grab the submission. So I'm going to grab Kevin's, and I'm going to grab. Oh, Kevin, you stuck yours on Sync Sketch. That's cool. I need to start making that a regular thing, I think, from now on. Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to do this. Move this over here. I'll move this over here. Yes, that's how I'm going to do this. Oh, that's a bit too big. Why is it so big? That's annoying. What the? When I maximize this window on my wide monitor, it oh, I guess it's just the way it scales. It's not meant for a big wide monitor. I'm just gonna have to, let me just do this. That's better. Okay, so I have that. I need to bring the work over another one because I want to use a more of a 1080, like a more of a square monitor to do the actual review. Hold on a second. I don't have enough room. I'm not set up. I have a wide monitor here, and a wide monitor is causing me all kinds of grief with my streams. And now I'm trying to like turn myself awkwardly to be able to see the other monitor here. Okay, so let me go ahead and hello, Icon _ 86. So I'm doing well. How are you? I'm not too sure who you are, but you obviously know my real name. You know my secret identity. Sync Sketch is super cool, dude. It has nothing to do with my frustration of my monitor scenario. This is that I would have this problem no matter what. Just give me a second here to configure myself. I want to get the other. I think Sean also submitted something to be reviewed, so I'm just grabbing that. Sync Sketch is awesome. We use it all the time with Agora, and it's amazing. Okay, so let me see. Get that out of the way here for a second. Bring Discord back. Get this over here. Okay, I'm just going to grab Sean's. Let me grab it. His is not on. Oh, boy. Okay, let me just grab it. Download. Oh, no, I haven't downloaded it yet. I'm just trying to download it. My old boy was just struggling to get it downloaded. So it's not it's no reflection on the contents of the download. Not yet. Okay, so I got those. Let me just make sure that they're up and accessible here. In the future, I'll be a little bit more prepared and make sure that I have everything already downloaded. Just it was kind of one of those last minute days today. All right, so let me grab these two things, stick them in the right folder. Let me also crack the window a little bit before I die of heat exhaustion. For an LED light, this thing gets hot, let me tell you. Okay. Nope, I want this. Twitch. Okay. I think I'm actually ready, believe it or not. Okay. So where were we? So Icon 86. Am I assuming you are Mr. Ballard? I would assume so, considering you were a little nervous by my oh boy comment when I was trying to download stuff. You must be, if it is indeed you must be very tired, and I'm impressed that you showed up. Okay, so let's see how this goes. If you guys can check, Kevin and Mr. Ballard, if you don't mind just checking Discord, I'm about to put a link there. Don't everyone click on this. Only people who want to be on the show should click on this. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to send it privately to you guys. It'll be a little safer. I want people being like, what's this? And then they all show up on the show. Let's see. So there you are. This is for you, Mr. Ballard. And Kevin, you get one too. Kevin, you're going to have to go check Discord. I see you're not currently online. This is where things are going to get exciting. It's first time. I mean, I did a test with some of the other Agora people the other day to make sure this thing kind of went, but we weren't really streaming anywhere. I didn't really have an audience. So this will be the first time that we try to do this in a way that is happening kind of for real. So this is kind of fun. Again, I do appreciate people showing up to this. This whole streaming thing is new to me, so I'm trying to make the streaming as good as possible. There's like literally so many things that I want to do. I can't even begin to describe how many things I want to be doing on here, but I got to learn how to do them first. Hey, there you are. Oh, no, I see Mr. Ballard is there, but I don't see you, Kevin, yet. You have to click on there and oh, you're on Discord, maybe. I sent you it, Kevin. I sent you a message. It's a private message on Discord. You can get the link that way. Oh, okay. So who's Icon86? Someone who was just hanging off of the anticipation of my oh boy when I was going to open up a video. Can you send it to my other one? Yeah, sorry, dude. I forgot you had more than one. Hold on, I'll do it. What is your other one again? I can't remember. It's you remind me what? Hold on a second, I'll find it. Can you remove your old one, so you don't have two of them kicking around? You can just leave the server, so that way there's not like a Kevin and a Duck. I see it. That way you don't have a. There's not a. I guess I could boot the old one from the server. Let me try that. Can I do that? It'd be funny. Then you'll be shot down by my Twitch bot and shut out of my Discord server. It's like not a good week. I'll deal with that later. I don't want to fart around with that right now. I want to get into this instead. There's a delay between Restream and Twitch, I've noticed. Yeah, no, there's always a delay. Always. And it's the same for me. Like if I'm streaming and I have my monitor up on Twitch, there's usually a few seconds delay, which can be a little bit of a mind bending thing to sort of try to witness. Which I don't think there's a lot of people that are like probably pro streamers that are doing that, but they're probably not doing it. They probably have like a moderator who's somewhere else in another room where they can actually monitor the stream. So you don't have there's Kevin. Okay. So, I would love it if you can show your face, but you don't need to. I see that Kevin's already got his camera on, but I'm not going to let you go live until you're cool with that. The reason being is, naturally I want to be able to test all of the things, but at the same time, I also don't want you to feel uncomfortable. So you go ahead and just decide what you want to do. If you want to hide your screen, your face, go ahead. But I want it at the very least your voice, if that's possible. And I'm gonna let Sean go first, just because he lives on the other side of the planet, and he's up. It's like 1,000,000 o'clock for him right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cue him in, and then we'll take a look at his stuff. And Kevin, just hang tight there with your little backstage pass. I see you too. It's fun because you guys have there's like a little portrait of you, and you're kind of grayed out. It's pretty cool. I really like the way it's done. Okay, Kevin, awesome. Sean, I'm going to have you come live here. We're just going to feed you in. Going to, and I don't know. So yeah, I guess that's what happens. You just sort of show up as a box. It'd be nice if you could, yeah. Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
How are you? You must be tired.
No, I'm good. I got used to this during the course, so.
Yeah, I would imagine you win extra points, extra brownie points for showing up. I don't know. I wish, because when I make you live, it'd be nice if I could have you live, but if you're not showing your camera, just to be a voice that's floating in the background, that would have been amazing. But because it kind of occupies a lot of my my spot. I could do that. That would work. That's a lot better. That way it's not like this, and I can move you over here, I think. Oh no, I can't. I can't change your position. Really? That's lame.
Hang on.
Man.
One thing. If we're gonna do camera test,
you don't have to. You don't need to if you don't want to. It's super fine. I just love this idea of having like live guests on the show. So we're planning an event that's happening in the next few months with Agora, and I don't want to give too much of it away. I don't want to steal the thunder, but it's going to be big. It's going to be awesome. You're going to hear a lot about it. And it's with that. This is sort of, I'm doing a bit of a scouting mission right now, a little bit, to try to get a feel for what it's like to run a stream and have people come in and come out. The idea is we're gonna have a lot of cool, guest appearances that you're definitely gonna want to come out to see, and we're gonna have lots of entertainment. Lots of entertainment. We don't have it all sorted out yet logistically, but you'll hear soon. And so this is one of the things we're kind of looking at trying to use, just because it seems to logistically work. Again, the one main thing we're missing is cool interactions and having, you know, fireworks and things happen that we can sort of, I can see when they happen. Like, and I can't even have you test that right now because my Twitch stream isn't mature enough yet to have a lot of that stuff enabled. I mean, I could see like follows or something that happens with alerts. So I guess I technically would hear that in my background, but yeah, it's kind of it's a little bit crazy. Okay, so let me know when you're ready to go, Sean. You're live, by the way, right now. Everyone can hear your voice.
Yeah, I can tell. By the way, you can also do, if audio is only an option, you can also bring in people via Discord. Their voices can be heard too.
Oh, okay, yes, but so you mean like if I was sharing my desktop audio, for instance, and just have like a sidebar Discord conversation in the background, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the thing, though. I'm always wondering. Like, I assume that I guess that would be real time, right? Yeah, because real time on my desktop. Oh, there's Sean. Hey, Sean.
How you doing?
You look so great with that background. Okay, I see your point. Like, because you could, I could just be having. I mean, theoretically, it's the same thing with OBS, right? If I was streaming with OBS, I could have audio in the background. I could even also have a Zoom call even in the background that I could even not just take the audio from. I could take the audio and video from by capturing that window and just having it as like literally a capture source inside my my stream. I could theoretically do that. Yeah, it just seems like a lot more kind of things to manage. Where this one's nice because I have you guys click on a link, you just show up, and I can sort of decide when you want to be, when I want you live and not. It's just worth checking out, which is what I wanted to do tonight. So let's get down to I was gonna say brass tacks, and then I wanted to say get down to business, and it came out to some sort of weird abomination of the two things at the same time. Let's take a look at your work. I'm going to minimize this and so I can see your video. Okay. This is you looking all badass. Hope you don't mind me sharing this. We're going to take a look at, so just for context sake, Sean sent me what looks to be it's a walk into a pose. So I guess it's just a walk animation transitioning to, I guess, an idle. I guess that's what this is. Transition animation.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's got some reference of himself looking like a broomstick samurai. And we'll look at that first, and then I'll take a look at what he's done. And he sent me a Maya file. So actually, let me just get Maya running so that is a little faster when the time comes. Just have to get it running. And Maya likes to take 500 years to actually start up for real. So this might take a moment. And then let me get, I'll get it loaded in here as well. Man, it's a good thing I got 3 monitors. I don't know how I would do this otherwise. It would be like, because I mean, I got my Discord up on the one, and I have the monitor up on another one, and then I have like the stuff, the desktop I want to share on the other one. It's kind of becoming like I feel like I'm a air traffic controller or something. Okay, I think it's, okay, good. Let me just open up the scene. One moment. That's not the one. This is the one. Got it. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll continue, and I'm just going to bring that over to the other screen here. Cool. All right, awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, which is cool, and that we'll still be on the call. But when I share my other screen, it's sort of like another caller. I can like put it over there, and I can sort of arrange it whatever way I want. So let me just do that. Just share it like this, and I'm going to share this one over here like that. And then I can make, which is cool because I can queue it up, and then I can decide when I want it to be on. So now we're both little floating heads, and then we can sort of see. The only crappy thing is, as you can see, I'm not able to position our little boxes. I guess I could do this, I guess. But the other thing I could always do if I really wanted, if like, we'll leave it like this for now. And then what I can do when I'm doing like your Maya scene, so I'm not cluttering up the interface, I should be able to just do a full screen, I think, like this. Oh, I guess I could have done that before with just your face when you didn't have a face either. It was just your voice. I could have done this. Let me just unshare this one. I could have done. Oh yeah. So you're still, I can hear you, right? Say something. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's how I would do it. Nice learning curve. Okay. So let me bring that back. And let me remove the maximize on me, I guess. Hold on. Don't forget to link that you're live on Twitch on Twitter. That's an actual user, right? I forget. It's because I didn't set up Restream to, I didn't set it up to do to ping the social channels. It was just a quick thing that I wanted to try. So yes, normally I would do that. It would be automated, but I didn't do that tonight. It doesn't really matter. I don't have exactly 500 million subscribers on Twitter, so no one's really going to know. Okay, good. So let's do it like this. We'll take a look at your video together like this, and then I'll just switch to kind of more of a full screen when I go to Maya. All right, I'll hit play. I like how you let the broom hit you hard on the shoulder, which kind of will show a little bit of weight. Normally, the thing that I usually tell people when they're animating, when they're getting some good reference for themselves, one of the things I usually tell people to do is to go and look for something that's got the right amount of weight whenever possible, which is not always possible, but whenever you can, this is key. You've compensated nicely with this, at least by making sure that you feel all the weight that is there. Normally that's not what I would have seen, but the way it bounces like a light object. It doesn't quite like kind of push down on you. It kind of like ricochets. So if you took this as is exactly, it would feel like it would be awesome because you'd feel that interaction between the prop and the character. That is, like, as far as I'm concerned, the coolest detail about this reference. It's something that you don't usually often see with you don't often see this with animations. Someone might do some really nice reference and just look past a detail like that. But the idea of having props interact with the character and having, like, I honestly, for me, I've been doing this for a long time. And so what I've noticed is there's like levels of observational skill that animators have. And when animators get to the point where they start including more than just one layer of depth to the sort of interactions of their characters. What I mean by that is it's already a lot to try to make sure that animators understand that when they're moving their body around, that the body moves together, right? It moves in concert. It moves in a way that supports all the other parts. Right? If I reach with my arm to pick something up, I'm not just reaching with my hand. I'm reaching with my hand, my clavicle, which is already a lot to ask of a lot of new animators. And then my upper body will stretch a little bit, and pull me a little bit. And even my hip will lean in the direction that I'm trying to reach. This is key to make the body mechanics feel like they're interconnected and the body's working together. That takes a while for people to get there. Then the next level is, can you also then deal with outside influences acting on the body? That's why, like, a weightlift assignment is tricky, because a weightlift assignment it's sort of this interesting tug of war between two masses deciding who's driving the action, right? And it's a back and forth. Like when I'm lifting a heavy object, with the beginning of the lift, it's me. I'm driving the action. But once I bring it up and the gravity starts to come back down and it catches on my shoulder, it drives momentarily as it has an effect on me, right? It's like there's this interesting like waxing and weaning of this sort of like who's the driver in the relationship between these two masses. So all this to say that I really hope that you take that and make sure that it's really well showcased. My concern is that if you take it the way it is exactly, it'll feel light. So
that's a good observation, actually, because the object of the model is not a light object. So
no, I would imagine not. It's probably a huge heavy sword, right?
Differently.
Yeah,
it is a sword.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what I usually do in a case like this is I get people to try to get like if you really want it heavy, you go to like a hardware store and you buy like a cheap sledgehammer, which is going to be a little bit weird if you live in a condo, because people are going to be like, look at you nervous whenever they come and visit you. Be like, why do you have a sledgehammer if you live in a condo? And you just look at them with like what, you don't have a sledgehammer? But you could always, I guess, maybe sell it or get rid of it. Or if you know somebody who has one, or just look for something that's got you want something that's the basic overall shape and the basic approximate sort of weight these are the ideal scenarios whenever possible, because then you really, really will get the feeling of like a very strong accuracy with regards to the interrelationship between those two masses. But I'm going to take a look at what you did. I mean, I haven't even looked at your animation yet, so maybe you compensated really nicely. It just, for me, just looking at the reference, I always like to give feedback on reference on how to get even better reference, and that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The other thing is, the more obvious thing is the way you're holding your sword. If it was truly that heavy, you wouldn't hold it like this. This is where that's how you would hold maybe like a katana. A katana is a relatively light sword. So one of the biggest advantages of a katana is it's a two-handed sword, but it's also fairly light as far as swords are concerned. Especially if you ever had a chance to pick up like a proper Japanese sword before. They're actually really light, like folded metal, like the way that they make them, rather than like this. I'm not going to get into it, but the point is that they're very elegant swords, and there's a reason why they are so quick. If you are trained, like, I guess trained in, I guess, a kendo. Is kendo the art of the samurai sword? I think it is. So the thing I'm worried about is holding it like this, kind of out like that, really betrays, as we'll probably see in your animation, how you would probably have to hold it if it was truly heavy. Right? If it was really, really heavy, you're going to have a completely, and it's hard to figure that out unless you're actually holding something heavy, because it's not just anything heavy, but something that's that shape that's heavy, because the shape and the weight both have a play on how you would hold that object. Right? If it's really long and heavy, is it heavy at the end, which is why sledgehammer is probably a bad example, because it's very heavy at the one end, where a sword that's got that's properly balanced with, which hopefully it is, because otherwise it would be a pretty terrible sword. It would, it should be balanced pretty much along, pretty equally distributed along its length. But ideally, I believe it should be, the pivot point of balance should be, the center of mass should be at the guard, like the end of the hilt, I believe is where you want it typically. So all these things matter really at the end of the day if you want something to look at authentic. What else can I say about the reference? I think there's an opportunity missed here. It might have been tricky for you to do. You might have, again, I haven't looked at your animation yet, so this I might just be eating my own words eventually. But I kind of feel like with what you're doing, this nonchalant sort of drop on the shoulder, I really feel like you want a little flourish, just like one little spin. I don't know why. It's just because of how cocky he looks. It feels to me like you kind of want to have a little bit of that flourish, like show off, sort of showboating kind of highlight to this action. That's what my video game nerd inside me wants to see. Otherwise, I think you did a pretty good job, like just channeling your inner, cocky self. I think that the only other thing I would probably say would be the beginning feels like you're kind of like I don't really feel like, so then this is just an acting thing. And this is always, it gets interesting when I give acting feedback to people who have not had any acting training per se. Speaking of which, if you're listening to me right now and you are really interested in upping your game with like in ways that you can't possibly even fathom how much it will help your animation, there's two things that I always tell people. There are two things that are not directly connected to animation specifically. I would say take some acting classes, which of course during the pandemic is not easy as a thing as it should be. But I guarantee you there's lots of online acting classes, especially considering acting classes couldn't just stop happening. I'm sure people are doing them just using Zoom or whatever. I would highly recommend trying to find some. I don't have any good links for you right now, but I've been meaning to look into that to see if there are some really good acting schools that have popped up online due to the situation we all find ourselves in these days. But if you can get it, it's going to do a lot of good, because when you really think about it, and this is true for any kind of animator, whether you're an in-game animation animator, or if you are a cinematics animator for sure, if you are obviously a feature animator, anyone who's doing any kind of performance, which is pretty much anytime you're animating a character theoretically, because why would you, like, that's the whole point. You should always be performing with your characters, because that's the part that makes it interesting. Acting is something we're all doing, which is funny because a lot of us are professional actors, but we haven't been trained a day of acting. We've learned through mimicking. We've learned by analyzing references, but we may not have ever had any practical, like theoretical knowledge. But that theoretical knowledge can really unlock a lot of potential for you. So one place I would go for sure, where I would start, is Ed Hooks. Go look for his books. He's got a book series called, he put out a book that has many editions now. It's called Acting for Animators. He's also got a blog, which I would highly recommend. This guy's awesome. I would consider him a friend. I've had him in town a couple times to do some talks. He is one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. Very knowledgeable. His backstory is interesting. On how he actually got into position to sort of be like an animator sort of actor trainer. It's just had to do with where he was living at the time and his acting career. And he was teaching acting to, I think he had a workshop down in, I think the LA area. He was, maybe the Bay Area. He was down in California somewhere. And he ended up getting pulled into, just because I guess probably some dedicated and entrepreneurial, animators had been probably taking acting classes, and so they were on that scene and must have heard of him or taken some of his classes, and ended up inviting him into Pixar. And then Disney started doing it. Now he became like a regular doing conferences on site at some of these big production studios. And now he just gets called. He does books and he does a bunch of other events, and he gets invited to do conferences all over the world now. And great guy. I love him. I would highly recommend his material. So go pick that up if you can't. If you can. It comes with a little CD as well, like a DVD, sorry, of a bunch of like acting exercises. And the cool thing is what he's doing is he's trying to translate acting to the animator brain. And so it really helps you kind of absorb it and understand what it's all about. And I should probably do this while I'm going on and on. Actually, no, because then poor Sean just gets the hose.
What's his name?
His name is Ed Hooks, ED space Hooks, as you would imagine, HOOKS.
Yes, my brother recommended this.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I would just recommend it because it's gonna, like I said, he's gonna try to put things in terms that you're gonna understand, because he's been working with
him actually.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. he's a memorable guy. He's pretty funny. And I love it because he and I often have like almost exactly the same opinion on movies as they come out. On his blog, he likes to do critiques of movies and the narrative choices and the acting choices, and I always feel like they're spot on. So he's great for a good controversial rant too. Like whenever he doesn't like a movie, he's going to tell you it's pretty good. Anyways, that's enough about Ed. I will probably talk more about him in the coming days and weeks and months and years. I even hope to try to poke him and see if he can come and do a talk for us with Agora or something one day. That would be amazing. So
I went to one of his lectures years ago in Bournemouth. He was so entertaining. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, he's funny, man. He's amazing. So much energy. So I would say the reason why I brought all this up was just to discuss the beginning. The beginning looks like someone who doesn't really know where to put their eyes, right? It felt like, because you're not a trained actor, so you don't know where to put your eyes. It's like it felt like you needed to look up the camera to get in the zone and be in character. But in my mind, if you're looking down at the beginning, there's probably a reason for it. You know what I mean? You're probably like, if your character was truly looking down as he walked towards the camera, or maybe you didn't want that. Maybe that's something you're just going to chop off because it's not really part of the transition to, like, it depends. If you're going to use this as an in-game transition, you're probably not going to have that, because why would he be looking down in the game anyways? Otherwise, if it was like a cinematic scene that you wanted to have, then I would imagine that looking down was part of the emotion of the scene, and therefore I would treat it accordingly. Which one is it?
It was me kind of just getting my bearings before I started moving.
And you're using okay. So so you're not really planning on really using that. You're probably going to be cutting in when you're already looking forward, right?
No, I'm pretty much starting from a walk cycle is what I did.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so this is unnecessary feedback then. Let's go take a look at your Maya scene here. For this, I think I'll probably go full screen just so people can see it a bit better. I mean, I don't know how, for people who are watching the stream, is this, I mean, you're not gonna be able to see what menus I go into, but it's a review. I wouldn't do this for a demonstration, but maybe it's okay for a review. What do you guys think? I can probably do this.
I would say go full screen. The review, the animation is more important in my eyes.
Okay, let's do that. I need to go full screen. So full screen it is. Boom. Oh, that's kind of annoying because why? Oh, I know why. I'm going to get rid of this too. Then I'm going to get the graphic, this. Boop, see you later. That way we get the full.
Now we're talking.
The full dose. Yeah, now we're definitely talking, which is interesting though, because that means that all that time I could have had a little bit more screen real estate, which would have been probably better. I just forgot that chat stream was up. I think there is a way of doing it. I believe that doesn't require. I have to do a little bit more looking at it. I don't think it's the only way to add the chat to the stream. I think there's another way. But okay, so is it better? Everybody who's watching, and I think this is okay too. Like our two little faces down here, we're pretty much full screen now. It should be pretty good. Is this good for people watching? Because it's okay, good, perfect. The feedback is much appreciated. You can always count on you, Miss Plant. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna go into. Here we go. All right. How about like that? Is that good? Everyone can see that? It's perfect. Right, and you're doing a an on the spot transition too, which is always really weird. So my first tip would be probably to not animate on the spot. I would probably animate this thing and do an actual walk. And by the way, another feedback that I forgot to mention about your reference, because considering it's a very technical thing and you're doing body mechanics, I would have really highly recommended beating somebody up for their camera so you could have two views. Having the one single view is for sure going to be detrimental to your ability to break down the action as well as you probably want. But obviously that's done now. So I mean, you could always go back and refilm reference if you wanted to. I mean, you could get probably close enough that it would still fit in with the animation you've already started. Mm-hmm. So what I'm thinking here is that the reason why I would not have it on the spot, because I find trying to animate a natural walk to stop or any kind of transition very difficult to do when you're on spot. And it's difficult to really make the weight shifts feel right and all the things. So what I tend to do instead, and it's not just this, but what looks really artificial is how the hips are completely static. Watch the hips when you're moving. First of all, there's hardly any up and down, which we're going to have to address, but there's also no forward and back at all. And when people move, there's never a perfect, consistent, there's some side to side though, which is good. There's never a perfectly consistent, stationary, the hips aren't always moving at a constant speed, which is what you're saying essentially by animating somebody on the spot that the hips have no play in translate Z in this case. Mm-hmm. So I like to animate her I would have animated her literally walking forward, like she's over the origin, and then she's in a mid stride or on a full stride key or a stride pose, and then she takes a couple steps to stops, and she walks literally forward and she displaces in the scene. And then what I do is I apply a layer afterwards to counter that animation to make it so that she's not moving forward. If you want, I could do a demonstration on this one day, but because what allows you to do is you can make it look like a real proper transition to stop first, because it's not weird and abstract to look at. It's like someone actually taking walks and then stopping, or taking a couple steps to stop. And then you export it with the layer, right? So you put the layer on, you bake it for the export, and then you can just take that layer off if you want to continue working on the scene. The layer is there, so you can export it as an on-spot animation. This is what you'll find. This is what most people would probably do in the biz. They would do it like that because it's just a little easier for your brain to wrap your head around just the physicality of the movement. Mm-hmm. Food for thought.
Clever.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. We let's just look at. Besides that point, I'm just going to look at what you have here and try to give you some feedback on what I see. So the main thing is no obvious up and down. Yeah, the character feels like there's no weight. There is a little bit. It feels like there's moments where I'm trying to see. Let me go in front view here. Let me see if I can scrub here and see if I can see some up and down. So there's a little bit, but it's inconsistent. There's a little bit of up here, and then it kind of comes back down subtly here. Then there's very quick up here, and then it looks like there's nothing there. Maybe it's just, maybe it's just so slowly moving down. I don't notice the down, and it kind of comes up again here. Like if I were to take a look at the trajectory here, let me just select this and do a visualize animation. Hold on, where's my brain? Visualize, there it is. Create a editable motion trail. So if we wanted to see, like, there it is. Like, there's very little verticality in any of those trajectories, which is just sort of proof. Now, I see some attempt to kind of almost like some, kind of figure eights happening there. But as you can see, this has obviously got the stop in there as well. I assume this right here is probably the cycle. And then this big stuff here is where she's shifting her weight around at the end. Yeah, it is. So there is kind of a figure eight here. It just is very, 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 very subtle on the verticality. So another note here would be that where those ups and downs are supposed to occur. So a down happens after the strike. So it'd be like the foot has to strike here, and then it should come down, but it's going up where it should be going down immediately after the strike. Okay, and then it starts to come back up, probably like it's definitely on its way up on the passing position. And then it after the passing position, it ends up on the high point of a walk, and then it starts coming back down towards the ground again on the strike, and then goes below the strike after the strike, and just so on and so forth. So strikes are neutral. Let's say that they're like 0 and Y. I know I'm not saying they should actually be 0. I'm just saying that they would be the neutral point of the up and down sort of spectrum, and then the somewhere halfway between the strike and the passing position is where the down happens, and then we come back up to a neutral again on the passing position. So passing positions and stride keys are essentially going to be your neutrals, and then between those two things after the strike or down, and between those two things after the passing position, the mid stride, that's where your ups are. And in terms of my class where I talk about the anatomy of action, what we're saying is like the stride keys are the contacts. They're the same thing, because there's two different schools of thought, right? If you're following the Richard Williams school of thought, he's talking about essentially strides and mid strides, and then up and down poses. That's usually how he terms things. I have the same more or less thought process. I just call them different things because they fit better into my philosophy of anatomy of an action, which I'm going to be doing some streams on in the coming weeks and months, because I want to show people just how powerful it is when you're dealing with just about anything, how you can block out just about anything and it's going to end up looking good right off the bat typically. So we have stride keys, stride poses in Richard Williams terms are my contacts, and then my action poses are the ups, tend to be, and my down poses are the reaction poses. And I don't really have like I don't really have like a mid stride in my breakdown. Like that wouldn't be one of the keys that we absolutely need. It's for me, I break it down and I make the mid stride what it needs to be based on blocking everything else in. So I'm making sure I get all the contacts, I get all the takeoffs and landing feet, and those are the most important things, those contacts. Okay, so I would say then that what we're dealing with here is needing more up and down, absolutely. Another thing that's happening is typically what we have on a walk is, you see how you have your hips tilted like this? Typically, it's going to be a bit more like this. Like when you're about to strike, if you take a look at reference, which we can take a look at yours. See, I don't know if it's going to be super clear, but typically the foot that's reaching for the ground, the hip is going to sort of help it by also tilting down towards the ground. And then when that foot strikes, the hips go up like this to help kind of take the weight. And then this foot comes off the ground, and the weight of that leg pulls this other hip down. So it's sort of this cantilever that happens on the steps. So what you have currently is not
is the opposite.
Yeah. It's like literally the opposite. Let me just take a look at reference. I want to see if your reference can show that. if you look right, see how you're taking a step? Watch this side of your hip right here. See how it's going down towards the ground? And then look, if you look carefully, it feels like it sort of, it doesn't continue going down. It sort of comes up slightly. And then you can see it again here, kind of down towards the ground. If you give me a second, I'll even bring up, give me a second. I'm going to bring up, oh boy, can I, one sec. I'm going to bring up Rhino House here. Rhino House to the rescue. I want to take a look at some really clean reference so we can really see this, what I'm talking about. What, is it late for you or something? Just kidding.
Yeah, it's just 5 in the morning.
Only. Okay, there it is. Walk, walk, walk. Okay, let's take a look at this. What? Oh no, not again. I can't use Rhino House. My my account lapsed. I have to get it renewed. That's annoying. You know what? If you do have Rhino House?
Not yet.
Okay, well, just take my word for it. Maybe there's a hold on, let me just take another quick look here. I want to see if there's a preview that I can use, because they often have previews. Locomotion, walk, standard. Okay, there's a free one here. I'm gonna use this one. Yeah, this is going to show it very clearly here. So check this out. I want you to pay attention to the hips, specifically the tilt or the canter of the hips. This is the most important thing we're talking about right now. So if I scrub through here, you're going to notice, let me get rid of that. Clear, 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 clear. Watch this. On the approach there, see, strike. Do you see what the hips are doing? They're slightly, like, this side here is down a little bit. Watch. See it? It's kind of reaching for the ground, and then watch what happens right after the strike. Whoop, whoop. See that? That belt line very clearly goes from what I just drew here to this. Mm-hmm. It goes up like this, that side. And that repeats. Same thing on the other side. Brip, see it? Brip. And another thing happens too, you'll notice as that side goes up, that hip, shoulder, the same side of the shoulder goes down. This is standard in a walk. This is the way the body balances itself. There's a lot of interesting mechanical things that are happening in a walk, and it's all about balancing and keeping the rhythm and keeping the momentum, trying to be as efficient as possible. So what you're going to notice is that those two things are going to happen. They're going to coincide. Woo!
Bless you.
Sneezed so hard my freaking headset came off. So if you go back to your animation, you can see that is currently not the case. We have it kind of the opposite. It's like it's already all the way up. And so after the stride, what's happening is it goes down rather than, right? So something that, and with women, we tend to play that up a little bit, especially if there's a lot of attitude in the walk. So I would expect that to be even more apparent, and that's going to be a feature. I'm not saying making it such a feature that it looks like you're overly sort of like, you're not overdoing the hips, because I think animators do this way too often, especially in video games. It drives me bananas. And it's one of the many reasons why, women are getting a little impatient with just how much they're objectified in games. But I mean, at least this character is properly clothed. The idea here, though, is that women just tend to walk with a little bit more character, especially in the hips. When they're putting it on, they tend to really be able to put it on. Some of it has to do, I think, just the anatomy. Women do have different shaped hips, and so they do operate a little bit differently than a man's hips. I could get into all the specifics, but I think it clicks in your brain right away. Like when you think of a woman with attitude walking, you imagine definitely some hip sway. You tend to imagine some of that being broadcast through the hips. What else can we talk about that's obvious before we move on to Kevin? I would say upper body is devoid right now of any of that sort of that counterbalancing on that tilt. I find this angle we're talking about right now is where people struggle the most. I find that more often than not, you could, if I switch this to like a side view, it's going to be okay. You're not going to notice a lot of things that are wrong, although I do notice things here too. But like, there's a lot more to look at. Like, it's very clear that like from this angle, you see clearly the feet and the arms, how they're swinging. It's very obvious from this angle. So that's already a lot to distract me and make me think that it's working. But but from the front, there's not as many things kind of happening to distract us, and so our attention falls on, well, it feels like there are things that are missing because our brain is craving the information. So I'd say that one thing for sure is there should be definitely some tilting, like we saw in the Rhino House, like to coincide with the tilting of the hips. You'll see that there's a great deal of stuff happening there. I also feel like it's probably quite a bit of swing. Like I feel like she's really twisting her upper body a lot like this without any real need to. Like if I go back and look at your reference, it's pretty subtle actually. And you'll notice that most of the arm swing is actually coming from the upper body. Your arms aren't really swinging per se. They are like they are, but they're just swinging around because they're kind of following what the upper body is doing. See this? Like watch this arm here. There's a little bit of extra swing on the arm on top of what the chest is doing, but for the most part, I think most of what you're seeing there is chest. Where I feel like you're doing, I think the arm has a bit too much maybe motion here, and I think there's just altogether just too much on the upper body. If you really wanted to give it that sort of like that very chest, very very attitude, like that's kind of the whole thing. That's one of the reasons why you get this feeling of strength and machismo in your animation. Is it's this action all seems to be coming from your chest, you know? And it's something that Ed Hooks talks about a lot. He talks a lot about where's the energy coming from? Like, where are you acting from? This scene is where? Is this person's scene, is it coming from the hips? And it depends where your emotion is, and depends on your character. And I feel like right now it's all coming from right here. You're projecting right here, like as if there's like a big Superman like logo on your chest. That's what's going on. And I think that can't be miscalculated or undercalculated. It's part of the attitude that you want to try to capture and bring into your animation. It's not just a bunch of movement. It's this layer of character. And this is hard. This is where you're going to be probably. This is probably where your learning curve is, because you've been animating for a little while now. And so now what you have to be able to push things, make sure the body mechanics are good, but make sure they're also serving that undertone of attitude and character, because now your characters are going to be a lot more alive. They're going to be a lot more relatable. They're going to be a lot more interesting. And it's just like once you unlock that, you're going to be flying, because people are going to be drawn much more to your animations. And it's harder to do for video games for sure, but that's why if you can, you're really going to stand out from the crowd. I have not been paying attention to the chat. I don't know if I'm missing anything. Looks like I'm not.
You got a new follower though.
I did?
Yep.
Oh, that's so exciting. Where is it? I'm going to see. Where do I don't get that message, do I? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, cool. Look, I can do this to celebrate. We don't have cool hello, by the way, Peta 1970. I don't have cool you probably got it in Twitch though, because that's where you seem to follow. I think that happens automatically, I think. I don't know for sure. Can you tell me actually? Peta, like this is do you have your Twitch stream up? And I didn't hear it either.
I'm watching both screens.
Okay.
I'm a multi-monitor person like you.
Okay, interesting. So see, that's kind of sucks a little bit that I don't like. I love these celebrations that are built into the Twitch platform. So it seems like I need my broadcaster to be, which makes sense too, of course. Why would I think that would work? Because Twitch itself doesn't do the alerts. It's Streamlabs that I'm subscribing to the alerts. I need to be using some broadcaster to be able to play them as a graphic. And I'm not using that right now. I'm using the built-in. It's actually pretty cool because it's browser based. All the broadcasting I'm doing here is running off of Chrome, which is pretty cool. There's no additional software I'm using. I don't have to use OBS or Streamlabs OBS or anything like that. It's just right there in the interface. But as you can see, it's lacking some of the cool extra things you can add. I'm sure they're going to put that stuff because I like all the other things they're doing in here.
Yeah.
Let's see. We can wrap it up so we can put you to bed. Let's go back here and let's see what else do I see. I see. So going back to weight. So if this was truly a really big, heavy thing, it's not going to swing around as much. I don't know if you noticed, but when you carry something really heavy, that heavy thing doesn't tend to move very much.
Mm-hmm.
But it's you. Your body is doing this automatically because you've been, I don't know how old you are. I put you in your mid-20s probably. You are, you've been around long enough to probably to pick up on the pattern that your brain is, when carrying something heavy, trying to not agitate the mass too much, right? Is because the idea is when it's all about inertia. If you're carrying something heavy and you move that thing quickly in a direction that you don't want to be going in, you're going to end up going in that direction because its mass will pull you in that direction once you get it moving in that direction. So it is much more advantageous for you to try to make sure that you stabilize whatever thing you're carrying. So this comes up when you watch a lot of people like running around with guns. If you get reference of someone running around with like a 50 cal or something like that, you'll notice that it won't be like the body is trying to be like almost like a steady cam. It's trying to absorb a lot of the motion to try to stabilize the weapon, because once it starts to kind of bounce out of control, the person carrying it will no longer be able to wield it. So it's sort of like something that happens automatically with our brains. We tend to try to sort of, our arm would be carrying that sword in a way that, for one, would be probably pulling down straight down towards the ground a little bit more rather than kind of out the way you have it. But it's also going to be it's not going to swing out and around so quickly. It would take time to change direction because of its mass. And you're going to find that it just it should have a lot more dampening to it. The way it kind of moves around so freely without any real drag or dampening makes it feel like it's made out of cardboard. So it's an exercise. Like, that's why I'm saying, whenever you can, try to get something that's got the proper weight, because then you're going to start to see that kind of relationship. And this is next level, when you can start getting that kind of quality in your animation so that the props feel like they have an effect on your character's body.
Would it be wise to animate in IK if you're doing that then?
That's a $1 million question, isn't it? I think it really depends on who you are and how you prefer to animate. I would say, depending on the way I'm carrying it, I might consider IK. I might really theoretically consider it, because it allows you to much better stabilize the motion as opposed to it getting its motion from all the rest of the FK of the body, which is difficult to sort of stabilize in a way that will, not create a bunch of little weird pops and stuff like that when you try to counter animate for that to be able to make that arm or the sword not move so much. So yeah, I think that most people would probably prefer to use IK in order to do that. But then you have all the other problems that come with IK, which, it starts to look like it's not attached to the body at all anymore. So then you have to so the funny thing is, I always say when you're animating FK, you're doing a lot of counter animation. And when you're animating with IK, you're doing a lot of compensation animation. You're trying to overcompensate and put motion in there to mimic what the body's doing. You have to animate the arm or whatever to go along with the body, not just to make it feel like it's in its own little vacuum. So it really depends on what kind of person are you. I tend to be more of a, I'd rather have control over it and not have to fight the rest of the rig to get it done, and then over animate things to make it fit in. That's just who I am. But some people would disagree. They'd have other tricks that they would probably use in order to use FK to get it done. So, I mean, it really comes down to personal preference, I guess, but it's a challenge no matter what, these things. Okay. So I think the last thing I'll mention here is just some notes on the actual transition to a stop. I have no idea how long the stream is. I don't have a counter. I guess I could check oh, there it is. Hour 11 on my Twitch monitor. So I think that it's the transition that I would probably want to talk about a little bit. Whenever you're taking a step onto another foot, it's very important that the weight transfers over to that foot before the other foot comes off the ground. Notice how your hips are already all the way over to screen right. Like, it's already over top of the left foot by the time the left foot comes down. You don't want that. What you want instead is you want it to be on its way to that left foot, but still has more traveling to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That way the foot can plant, the weight can clearly transition from one foot to the other foot. And then the same thing here. So you do it here. See how it's like it's on its way to the right foot, but the right foot comes down and the weight continues to transfer over to that foot. That you want more of that on that first transfer there. It just feels very weightless. There's like literally, look, there's not even 2 frames where the 2 of them are on the ground at the same time. You really need that. Fun fact: one of the main. Well, I'm really stuttering. One of the biggest, most identifying qualities of a walk versus a run, mechanically, is that when you look at a walk, the feet are always going to be on. Both feet are always going to be on the frame for. On the ground for multiple frames. A run, never. You cannot have 2 feet on the ground at the same time on a run. A run is more like almost like a jump. They're like leaping forward. Where a walk, it is kind of like, it's hard to say. I always say walk's like falling forward. It's kind of what you're doing, but it's like catching your weight, shifting, catching your weight, shifting. You kind of need to make sure that both feet are on the ground for at least, I'd say, depending on how quick the walk is, but on average about 4 or 5 frames. This isn't a walk here. You've stopped walking, but you're moving at walk speed. It's like a sidestep. So the same rule really applies. You really need to make sure that foot goes down and then the transfer occurs. What else? Make sure you use your hips too. So you're doing the same thing here. You should be just like the steps. When you're doing this step here like this, I would have had the hips angled down like this for that step. And then when that foot takes the weight, you'd go back up to this. So you feel the hips are taking the weight onto this other foot. And the upper body seems disconnected from all the things going on down here. So again, without any of that proper tilting happening down here, and you see how you leave your hips completely locked here too. They just stay like this, and then you don't even do anything with them after that landing here. The hips are always going to react to feet landing on the ground and the weight being taken from one foot to the other foot. You're always going to see some feedback happening on the hips. It's one of the key areas to look for. Okay. Try to avoid having the body feel like it's just the upper body. Again, this is a heavy sword. I literally see nothing really happening down here. It just seems to be like it's just arms. Does someone just? That was weird. I heard a blip blip. Does that make a? Can someone type something again in the stream? Just send a chat to me, or not chat, but just put something in. Huh? Yeah, you heard the sound too? Huh? What was it? Yeah, you heard the sound too. Someone's. I heard my own voice. That was you, Sean? Probably. I think I disconnected from the Streamlab thing. Oh, maybe that's what it was. Oh, did you? And then you reconnected? That would be what it is. Because I think it's the sound of someone joining into my. Okay, but you're back, Kev. I see you in the little. You're on the bench. Don't worry, you're on deck. You're on deck. Warm up, okay? Warm up. Get that arm going. Okay, so yeah. So what I guess I'm saying here is the whole body needs to be involved in that lift. I should see it in the hips. I should see it in the upper body as well, more so than I already am. Like, that character really needs to heave that up. Like, it should feel kind of more like this. My room's a freaking mess right now, so I don't have a lot of room. But like, is this just a crotch shot? Yeah, it is a crotch shot. I don't know what happened to my camera is a wide angle lens, but it's something happened, and I feel like it's cropping in now. I don't know what's happening. It feels like it's not a full wide angle. Anyways, all you need to see is this part of me. Anyways, it should feel more like this. You see what I just did there? My whole body was part of that. It was like heaving something up. You don't want to just do it all with your arms. It makes it feel like no weight. The whole body should work together to lift that thing. And it's going to make a big difference on the quality of that, of the body mechanics when that's happening. And another good example of, so that little detail that I told you about, I was so excited by when I saw your reference. It's getting eaten alive here in the animation, because when that sword comes down on the shoulder, I mean, I see a subtle amount of move to the, like on the upper body, but I want to see like even on the hips. When you take that, it should be like, oh, should push my body down. Like my spine should like kind of compress. My hips should get pushed down. Like sell that, man, sell that. Like you don't need to reshoot with heavier prop. Although I would recommend it, because then I won't need to be there on your shoulder telling you what you need to think about. You could just see it in the reference and break it down and like try to run with it. But you could theoretically think this. You could probably think yourself through this problem and imagine what you would probably want to add to this to make it feel heavier. But the key is, do you want something to feel really heavy? That thing needs to be influencing our body. We need to use more of our body to move it around, and it has the ability to push us around. Thus, when it lands, I should feel like a full connection. You steal yourself of a lot of your thunder here by getting your shoulder already into a kind of a down position here by the time it touches the shoulder, where I would have rather it kind of felt like more like by the time it comes down here, there's actually still room to push down. Never paint yourself into a corner. Always leave yourself some room to have change after an impact. Impacts, you can't feel. I mean, it's like doing a jump animation, and then your landing pose, you're already all the way squashed. It's like you're not going to feel the squash and the absorption of energy if you're already in the furthest pose down as you can be. And some people might be like, yeah, but what if I want to jump into like a ninja, like crouchy pose? Oh, okay, well, that's fine, but you still need to leave a little bit of runway for yourself to absorb the energy. Otherwise, you're going to break your legs, right? Ninjas don't have, they might be quick and they might be nimble and have smoke bombs and disappear before our eyes and murder us in our sleep, but they have bones and they break just like us. So they still need to obey the basic sort of rules of body mechanics. So it's late for you, or very early, I guess, is more appropriate way of describing it, Sean. Do you feel like I've given you enough feedback to sort of chew on for a while, or?
Oh, I got plenty of notes.
Okay, good. That's good. So, I mean, I have more as usual, but I feel like I want to make sure that I called out the main things. I think if you need to focus on I think the main thing is weight in general and the shifting of weight and how that plays on the hips, how it plays on the up and down. That seems to be very, very weak currently, weakly represented. How the upper body is also working with the lower body to show some of that weight shift, all these things in the sword. So it's like, there's a theme here. And I think that's the main thing that you need to add. And then I'll take a look at this again, send it to me, or bring it back to the next stream. And we'll go from here. You'd be like a reoccurring star. We can sort of work on this until it's the most perfect animation we've ever seen.
Well, I've done 2 weeks in a row. Might as well do the next one.
Yeah, man. Why not? I like it. All right, buddy. So thanks for showing up. Yeah, take care, and thanks for coming to the stream. And thank you for volunteering your face, your voice, and your work. I'll see you around, man. Cheers. Okay, next up the bat, we have Mr. Kevin. I can call him Kevin because I believe that's what he's actually named in the stream, I think. No, it's Duck ND. He's called himself Kevin on the stream, so I don't feel so bad using his alter ego. Let me bring him in. I just have to do one of these little guys here. Oh, and I'm going to get rid of my screen here for now. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Not too bad. So you're live, and it's so exciting. It's nice to have live guests. I like this a lot more because it's a conversation. It gets a little weird when you're just talking to like a bunch of text. I like having like company, it's nice. It's a nice change. I really wish it had some of the extra features. Maybe one day they will, but I'm going to keep an eye on that. And I think when maybe it's a good idea, maybe for demonstrations, I'll use Streamlabs OBS, and for these kind of things, maybe it makes more sense to use this just because it feels more interactive.
Right.
Okay. So you're using Sketch, so I can just minimize this and I can minimize this, and you don't see what I'm doing right now because let's see here. Let's see. We are going to switch now to, where's my, there it is. There it is. Bring it in. Okay. So let's take a look at your reference first. Again, I really hate the fact that my chat, no one's going to see the chat on the stream. I guess I guess theoretically, so if you're on Twitch, you're seeing all the Twitch comments, and that's where everyone's connecting from anyways. So I guess it's not that big of a deal because you're using the Twitch interface, right? Just correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I guess everyone's seeing the chat. So that's fine. It doesn't have to be part of the stream. But if people are going to be watching, because I am simultaneously casting for those who are interested for the first time ever, I'm sending it to my YouTube channel, which I'll share on Discord soon, because that's where he's putting all the videos that I edit. But just because I wanted to see how that worked. But people could actually just type messages even from there, but they would only see their own chat, and they won't say. I don't think they'll see that. Can someone actually go validate that for me? I'm wondering. I'm really wondering if you go over to here. Let me just send you the link again. I linked it a while ago here. So it'd be great if someone could just pop over to because I'm wondering, because I remember reading somewhere that Restream is doing some sort of bot where it actually is putting other comments from other platforms on the other individual platforms. It'd be cool if we chat a little bit, whether you're going to see, like, you'll see my stuff. Like, if I type in, "Hey, what's up?" Spell it wrong like that. It's I see that it's sending the message to both platforms, but what I don't know is whether, don't think I can see it over the YouTube. So yeah, well, you saw you would have seen what I just wrote, I think you would have seen what I just, "Hey, what's up?" But I don't think what you won't see is, like, for instance, like Veronica or Kevin or whoever, they won't see their Twitch messages on YouTube. I don't think. Veronica or Kevin. Yeah, it looks like no. Yeah, just my messages. Okay, well, now we know. Worth finding out. So that's another thing I'm not too sure about. So if everyone wants to be able to enjoy the chat, they could actually, I would have to do this, but then it ends up being a pretty big real estate lost, which is kind of crap. Okay, well, learning curve, all growing pains. Okay, Kevin, let's take a look at this. So give me some context here, bud.
So this is just the idle animation. This is the second time we're actually taking a look at it. Oh, first time me being on the stream. For the
Welcome to your guest starring appearance.
Hello,
it's a premiere.
Anyways. Anyways, so for the most part, the context is mainly just it's been a while since the player touched the controller, and the person's just like looking around, scratching his head, wondering what's going on,
So it's a break idle.
Yes.
Okay, so for people who are not into, maybe into game animation, the break idles are what you typically see in a game that, Kevin did a really good job explaining it. It's like if you're not touching the stick and your character just sits there and they're just idling. Usually idling is just like kind of breathing, but then every once in a while they'll do something like this. I mean, this is my best break idle impersonation. Ready? Every once in a while they're going to come back. That thing that I just did is a break idle. I could also do one of these. These are kind of cliche. I'm kind of flexing my shoulders or loosening them up. It's quite literally the character trying to convince us that they're alive, which is why I call them keep alives often, as opposed to break idles. The goal here is that the character feels a little less like a robot and a little bit more like an actual living, breathing avatar that you're sort of controlling. So break idles are important to sort of not wander too far away from the original idle pose, because otherwise you run into problems when you decide as a player to start running in the middle of your break idle or something like that. So that's something to look out for here. But for the most part, let's see what he's kind of got in store for us. You guys are both brave, allowing me to show your video reference. Most people are really self-conscious of their video reference. But of course, being self-conscious is the enemy of growth. Typically, when it comes to this kind of stuff, you got to put yourself out there. So I commend you both for doing it. Okay, so yeah, looks pretty good. One thing I would say is on a level of acting, it kind of feels like you're kind of going through the actions, like you have an idea that you want to do this and then this and then this, and it just feels like you're doing those things, as opposed to someone who's like for instance, why are they looking around? That would be the first question, right? answering that question will lead us to a better understanding of what personality, like what context this character finds himself in. Like, is this character like nervous? Are they in a stealth game? Like, I guarantee you, if you're playing Last of Us and you're sneaking around, that look around animation will be a lot different than this, right?
Right.
It probably has a bit more of that nervous energy looking around to see if someone's watching or someone's, spotted you, versus this looks like super casual. It doesn't even look like the scratching in the head doesn't feel like it connects well with the actual looking around. It feels like it's another thing that you just decided as an animator that you wanted to add. This is tricky because animators have a hard time shooting their own reference for one major reason. Instead of trying to actually act and live in the moment of your character, what they tend to do instead is they puppeteer their own body. they literally have a bunch of ideas and then they physically do those things, and then that's not good reference. That's actually terrible reference. You don't want to do, you have to catch yourself when you're doing it. You usually will feel yourself doing it and you have to shake it off and try again. And it's frustrating and it's annoying. And I'm sure you're gonna be cursing my name as you shoot like 500 takes one day trying to get that perfect take. I feel you. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to try to make it as natural as possible. And the best way of doing that, in my opinion, is to try to play pretend. Go back to your childhood and just make believe and do your best to be like role play that moment. Like put yourself in the context of the character. That's why I asked, why? Why is this character looking around? So if your character is in a game like a stealth-based game, you have to imagine being nervous and trying to be quiet and looking around cautiously like this. That's going to be a very different look than like someone who's sort of like nonchalantly like at it, like they're playing a break idle in Ironforge and you're playing World of Warcraft and you're just sort of like, not that game has a lot of this kind of fidelity. Although years ago they went and they did a big upgrade to the animations. I played that game like on launch, like before launch actually. So my memory of that game's animations were not the most positive thing, but I keep seeing videos of the animations lately and they're amazing. They've gone back, and so I don't know if they have this level of having good break idles, but if they did, it would probably look a bit more like this. Your characters maybe sitting there all relaxed because, of course, in Ironforge, you're not in any kind of combat. You're in a safe space. There is literally, unless you're on a PvP server, I guess, and the Ironforge is being like raided, I guess, which like happens probably never. But the idea is in a setting like that where you're safe and you could be all just sort of cocky, it's gonna look, the look around's gonna look more like this. I'm pretending I have like an axe on my shoulder. I'm like a dwarf, and I'm like something like this is very different, right? Your scratching the head thing works too. The problem is scratching the head feels, it tends to have has a tendency of broadcasting a sense of boredom. It's like it's trying to signal that the character's kind of bored or confused. That tends to be the thing that you do when you're scratching the back of your head. So it sends mixed messages, is what I'm really trying to say.
Right.
Is this helpful?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess the key takeaway is, yes, please do use reference, because animators should be using reference because it's the best teacher. However, make sure that you get decent reference, and if you're going to shoot your own reference, take the time like to follow my advice and take some acting classes, or at least read a book or two, because you'll be shocked how simple the philosophies are to acting. And then you're going to then realize, well, okay, the philosophies seem pretty easy, but in practice, it's actually quite difficult. Acting is not easy, especially considering the grueling times they have to spend on set and what's expected of them in like any given, production. It's pretty intense. So, obviously I don't expect you to be like suddenly actor like worthy, but you need to at least have the same kind of thought processes so that your references are going to be a little bit better. So let me take a look now. Then you have it all set up nicely for me here. Look at this. So Kevin has given himself 2 views, and this is key. Having 2 views gives him the ability to really break down the action. A little saddened by the fact that he's cut his head off in this. I usually laugh and remind people that make sure that they do good framing tests before they film. Otherwise, they end up like cutting off I think there's nothing critical that was cut out here, so I think you're gonna be fine. But it's obviously not ideal, and it could have been worse.
Yeah, I actually had to find a different area to shoot my reference in my house, because now the basement, as you can see, we're actually moving around a lot of stuff. So
yeah, I see that. It looks like you're in like mid transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take a look at what you got. And you gave me a front side. Oh, would you like to join the following users in a live meeting? Why is it asking me that now? I'll view by myself.
Oh, because I'm in it right now actually as well.
Oh, you were okay. You were in okay, but you're only in that one room, I guess. Okay, I see. Because
Yes,
I don't.
yeah.
I didn't. It's
Yeah,
funny. I
I'll go ahead
never
and back
realized
out of
that.
it.
I didn't.
I-
But it makes no. It's fine. I'm
Okay.
viewing it by myself anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay, cool. But yeah,
Um,
but real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the
go
last
ahead.
time you were doing the reference on this, the main like three things that you pointed out was the head leading the action, the whole upper body moving at the
Mhm.
same time,
It's much better
and
now.
the shift change. Yeah, I
Yep.
really tried. Those are the three things I was like trying to push on, and it was kind of difficult with the head in terms of
I really.
because the
Go
rest of
ahead.
the body's like helping the head,
Yeah.
So I was just trying to like predetermine where the head's going to be in the last instance, and then it kind of always like ends up looking like at the very end of the body's catching up to the head, and then pushing
Yeah.
it to
Yeah.
the last.
Yeah. That's normal. I mean, the head only has a certain range of motion. Although I don't feel like you're hitting that full range here. Right. Like I feel like you could have gone all the way to your shoulder, and because if I look over my shoulder, it looks a lot like this, right? If I want to look over here, I'm going to do this. Like if you watch that slowly, if I do that in slow motion, my head will turn and my body really turns and almost pulls my upper body with it so that it help reach to where I want to be, which is
Okay.
different than what you see here, which is like it's
Excuse me.
already it's like it. I don't really feel like the head goes as far as it could to help
Okay.
see where it wants to see. And then what I would have expected is I would have expected as it hits, let's say that it's able to see what it wants to see at this point, then I would imagine the head would lock and then the upper body might continue a little bit further. But you see how
Okay.
the head and the upper body stop at the same frame here?
Right.
There needs to be more overlapping between those two things.
Okay.
There needs to be a little bit more of like an independence between them and like a real sense that the actual head is driving.
Okay.
But otherwise I think there's some good upgrades here, but the more I look at it, I really feel like I said I liked it because it was like nice secondary animation last time I looked at this, and I failed you because I didn't actually challenge the idea of the head scratch. Then I wasn't thinking fully about how this was going to be used. So I think it's okay, but it all comes down to context, whether that's going to make sense in the context of how you're going to use it in a game.
Right.
I like how the weight shifts here is pretty cool. Again, this foot here coming up, that should happen because the hip is reaching its maximum. Like that foot needs to start feeling like it's uncomfortable. The foot shouldn't feel like it's coming up on its own, but it feels like it's coming up on its own. Like for instance, I don't think it needs to come up much more than maybe like almost more than this, based on what the character's doing. But like the fact that it goes all the way, like it feels like it's forcing itself into this pose, but I don't feel like the hips have turned enough to make that need to happen. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
okay.
that foot needs to get pulled off the ground. It doesn't pull itself or push itself off the ground. It's something that the upper body sort of it just does because it can't. If it were to stay locked on the ground, the leg would get out of socket. So it tends. There's no weight on it, which is another thing. I feel like the weight needs to be a little bit more over this foot to be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like the weight is transferred enough over to that one foot to really to sell this, to make that work. Like it really needs to be, like it needs to be definitely over here more. Like I would say probably the upper body should be kind of more like as if it's over top of this one leg. God, I cannot draw with a mouse if my life depended on it. I don't even know why I even try. Whoa,
Okay.
what was that? Oh, I forgot there's drawing tools in there. So there's a context menu. I never use this. I forget it's there. Oh, what's this now? What do I do? Oh, it's a zoom. So yeah, I just like, if you think of the mass, like let me just grab no, I can't because my Wacom is underneath my keyboard right now. So let me just try to draw a little more slowly. So what I'm saying is if you get your mass of your leg underneath this one leg that's got all the weight, you want to try to get most of your mass kind of like this. It's over shifted enough so that can almost balance on this one foot. And this other foot then is free to have this sort of pose like this because it doesn't have any weight on it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
And then you're also, I would expect to have a decent amount of tilt. like this on the hips because a lot of weight will be on those hips, but these hips feel very straight. They don't feel like they're kind of like cantered at all when it shifts.
Okay.
Um,
So the hips would tilt towards the leg that's being pulled, and then the hips would be
yes.
Would
If the weight is over this leg,
right.
the leg that's taking all the weight, the hips will be up on that side.
Okay, and then you want the hips to come before the leg kind of shifts.
Well, the hips go the hip goes up as weight gets shifted onto that foot.
All right, no, I'm talking about like when it's shifting to the side.
What? No, but it's not about this foot. Forget about this. Okay. It's about the weight shifting this way over top of this foot here. Okay. And as it shifts, what happens is the weight comes off of this foot or this leg and goes onto this leg. And as that happens, the hip here will go upwards, and then it's going to have an angle more like this. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. I just can't. Drawing with the mouse is like, well, I don't know how people do it. So it needs to be more like that versus like this, like you have the straightness on the hips. Gotcha. And so what happened, because it's kind of for two reasons. For one, it's like well, what it really is mostly is that as this weight gets taken on this leg, then what happens is the rest of the body kind of pulls down. This leg especially pulls down on this side of the hip, which is more of like this hip gets pulled down rather than this side of the hip going up. That's really kind of more or less what's happening. Okay. Let me see here. What else? Watch out for this random wandering key that happens on the shoulder here. See how it's sort of like rotating like this?
Oh, okay.
It should like try to make sure that's only happening as she's bringing her arm down. Feels weird moving on its own. I don't know what you're animating there, but so you're animating something that's making that move around a little bit.
Okay.
Trying to see if there's anything else that I should talk about here. I mean, so notice how like all of your things happen. They all seem to start and stop at the same frame. Mm-hmm. Like they lack a feeling of overlap. And the reason why is because when they all line up like that, when all the body parts reach their maximum position into a pose in more or less the same frame, it starts to feel like that. It has this feeling of kind of robotic movements that everything's kind of connected, as opposed to feeling like, yeah, they're connected, but they're not more like connected by elastic bands. It's more of a soft connection rather than a rigid one. And so a good example is like how right here, how they reach, like everything seems to reach into that one pose rather than the hips sort of stopping here, and then the head stopping a little bit afterwards, and then the upper body continuing a little bit, and then continuing, and then maybe settling back, like having all these things that while the head is sort of stabilized, just by doing something like this, automatically you're getting this feeling of overlapping action because my head is sort of countering all the things going on here. So, technically, all this sort of fluid action here is, as opposed to just kind of going from point A to point B and stopping all my body parts on the same frames. You could also see it as she settles here. She comes back. Everything again starts to come back down towards the. I mean, other than the heel, I like the fact that the heel slaps down right here before all the other parts kind of get into their positions. That's helpful. But all the upper body and the hip are all still connected. See, look, they all keep going. Then they hit into that pose. I can literally see the key right here, right around here somewhere, and then going to the next pose here. So you get this
Gotcha.
feeling of pose to pose to pose to pose. Now, we didn't really get too far into that kind of stuff. That's definitely a more advanced level beyond what I teach in the intro class at iAnimate. So it's not a surprise to me that I'm not seeing that quality in your animation yet. But I'm trying to open your eyes to it. Because if we were to go back, because we have reference, we can go take a look. I want to show you evidence of the same things I'm talking about that exist in your reference. Just to kind of, oh, what am I doing? I forgot it was in Sync Sketch. So let's go here. Let's take a look if we can see some of those things. So that's that last look here. So notice this. Watch your head. Your head right around here, it stops because it's focusing on something. Your eyes are built to lock on things. And your head works with your eyes, they work in unison with them in order to make that happen. And so the takeaway here is that once it achieves a target or locks in on a target, the rest of the body might move, but the head tends to sort of stabilize. So right about on this frame, you're seeing that. And if you watch the upper body kind of, it sort of continues a little bit, like you watch this arm continues to swing in the direction it was swinging in here. Right. And then the hips start to move back down towards its final position. So there's a good example of the hips driving the action here, because the hips know where they want to go. They're like, okay, it's nothing to see. Let me go back. As opposed to when you're actively looking for something, the head drives the action. So the head is sort of pulling, and then the head drags, and so does the arm. And if I were to look at some of the other moments here for more of the same stuff, let me see your animation again really quick. One thing about Sync Sketch drives me crazy. If I'm scrubbing, I'm not looking where I'm scrubbing. If my mouse falls down here, it stops the scrub from happening. I really wish they would fix that. It's like my biggest gripe. I love Sync Sketch so much. It is so amazing on so many levels, but that's something that always screws me.
All right.
It's not so bad, but like just little things like making this arm here follow through more. Like see how the arm feels it's completely connected to the chest. The chest is going to start rotating the other way, and the arm comes with it, rather than the arm feeling like as that chest starts to go this way, the arm is still swinging this way.
Gotcha.
These are the kind of things that I'm talking about to break things up so they don't all feel like they're starting and stopping in the same frames.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Let me see here. What else to talk about? There's so many things we can talk about here. The obvious thing to talk about here, which is not something I would do until the very end, is the hair. Don't forget to animate the hair. There's an opportunity there to have just a little bit of secondary, a little bit of drag on the hair when she's turning her head around. It's going to really help. Also, it'll help sell the head scratch, because look, right now, it's like, she's scratching her head, but for sure her hand would be bumping into that ponytail. This goes back to what I was telling Sean, this idea of looking for opportunities to have this cause and effect relationship with the different body parts and different props. And your ponytail is kind of like a prop and a body part. It allows you to like do things with the body, but also allows things to happen. Like, you know, I'll never forget the first time I ever saw a really well animated 3D face. And the hand was like doing something like this to the face, and the hand was pulling the skin. So someone obviously made some really good blend shapes to make that feel right, make it feel like I could take my face. Like, and the reason why that looks so great is it felt like a real tactile, like things in 3D, especially in video games, have a tendency to feel like they're in a vacuum. They feel like they can't be influenced by other things. Like, for instance, have you ever watched a game where the fidelity of the graphics are so high that like when someone was like hugging another person, that you felt like the jacket and like their flesh compressed with the hug? No, you'll never see something like that. But you'll see that in Pixar films, because their character effects department are tirelessly adding that kind of level of detail to the shots. And it sells. It makes these characters feel bigger than life. They feel like they could pop out of the screen because they have that level of detail. You can still find ways of mimicking it. Like, for instance, say she was rubbing her shoulder, you could animate maybe the hood control to make it feel like there was an influence of just doing this is making the clothing move around a little bit. Like anything an animator can find opportunities to show off this kind of level of interactivity is going to go miles on your demo reel, because people are gonna be like, oh, okay, they're thinking about that. That's interesting, because I don't see a lot of people that are applying for video games that are thinking on that level. And it's going to give you a pretty big one up on the competition, where you're essentially saying, look, I see these things. I see them. I might be still working on trying to make sure that they're broadcast properly, but at least I see them, because this is what most animators aren't even seeing it. They don't even see it. Like, it's just filtered out for some reason, and they're not even seeing those interrelationships. So my job is to try to tell people like you that they're there so that you can actively pursue them. And then eventually they're going to become commonsensical things to go after. And they'll just feel like you're just going to come up with really cool tricks and tools to make it happen. And you'll even think about incorporating some things that you could showcase. Like, you'll be like, oh, I got some cool controls on this character that, like, to move around like a bunch of the clothing on the, or like, like the hood or like something that you can interact with. And you're going to plan the acting or the choices you're going to have on the character's going to make just to leverage those things. That's where you're going to go once you start kind of doing it regularly, because you're going to get such amazing feedback, such positive feedback for doing it. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, make sure those arms are continuing their swings. They really need to overlap the upper body. That's the main thing that I'm really noticing.
Okay.
Another thing, try adding arcs. Like in more interesting breakdowns. Like when you look, do you just look like this, like the head just turns, or do you see, like, if you were to watch my head, the head is not just a turn on the one axis. It's also, it tilts like this. It allows me to look over my shoulder easier. Do it yourself. Try to look over your shoulder, see what your chin does. No, like, really look over your shoulder. Pull it. Like, I tricked you to do that. You fell into my trap.
Yeah, no, I got you.
You feel it. Like, you can feel that your chin can go further than the top of your head. It's just what happens. I don't know exactly why. There's obviously some complex body mechanics that are happening there, but it's something to take note of. And so what you'll notice is, and sometimes as animators, we add a little bit more arcs to things just because they look better, and they look better than even a reference does. So what I might do is I might roll the head a little bit as I turn. I might kind of be like,
So,
as opposed to just straight lateral rotations.
So would there be like I could add maybe a little bit of anticipation?
Well, don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, that's going to look like they're going to look like Stevie Wonder. You have to be careful to not like have it feel like the head is moving on its own. The head is really moving. I mean, the reason why Stevie Wonder, like, it's kind of and I didn't mean it like a cruel comparison at all. It just, like, it's a kind of a cliche thing that you think when you think of Stevie Wonder, the way he sings, it's because he can't see, right? And so he's feeling the rhythm, and he doesn't move his head the way that someone moves their head when they can see, which is interesting. That's why Stevie Wonder move his head like this. It's like he's just feeling the vibe, and he's just learned as an artist to kind of get into it and to move around like this. And he doesn't know any. I don't know. I can't remember if he had sight at birth or if he lost his sight. It'd be interesting to find out, because on a psychological level, I would like to know, like, how that might have changed the way he might move his head when he sings or when he plays the piano or whatever he does. At the time, I think that there is one interesting takeaway, though, for sure, that, like, it would be dizzying to move your head all like this a lot. Like, we don't want to do this because our eyes want to be level to the horizon typically whenever they can. And so we tend to do a lot of stabilization on our head just to benefit our eyes. But if you don't have sight, then there is no need to do that. So you are free to move your head in ways that people with sight do. One of the reasons I love animation so much is because we go down these deep rabbit holes of philosophical conversation, like, to figure out the reason why things happen. And I don't think it's, I think it's important that you train your brain to ask questions like this and to kind of dig in and try to figure out, like, why someone moves their head differently than another person. Because once you have an understanding as to why, it unlocks a bunch of truths, and now suddenly you can probably see that pattern the next time you animate something similar. I don't know if there's much more to talk about here. I mean, I haven't called out all of the things, but I think I've definitely called out the main thing, which is that idea of breaking things up. and try to make sure that things feel like they're in phases of motion that don't all line up with one another. For sure, head and arms more specifically.
Right.
I don't think I would add that last look here. I really feel like that last look here feels, I don't know, somehow uncomfortable. I would have just had her look, and then she's like, oh, then she comes back. I don't know, like, it feels forced that she has to go back and look one more time.
Okay.
Like it doesn't even look like a look, because she doesn't even like stay, her head doesn't stay on the target for very long. So it just kind of feels like a kind of an awkward breakdown to get back to her idle pose. I think I would just like allow her to get from here, naturally transition into here. You might need a reshoot reference to do that. All you have to do is put yourself in a pose like this, and then just go into your idle just to see what you do. I would recommend you do that rather than try to guess, because I don't think you're in the guessing part yet. I think you're in the still the studying action kind of part.
Right.
I think you did really good, though. I really like, there's a lot of natural movements. I think you did a pretty good job, more or less, having the body work together to do things. It's really just a matter of breaking that up a little bit now and taking it beyond your basic rough animation. I think this might even look pretty decent in a game. Be curious to see what this looks like in Unreal. From the vantage point of over the character's shoulder. That's one thing that make sure you're doing that. Make sure, the reason I showed you guys how to use Unreal is so that you can start testing your things
it's already
context.
in the engine.
Okay. And so how does it feel in the engine? Does it feel good?
It feels all right. I mean, it definitely has that, what we've been talking about in terms of everything's moving
slightly
together.
Mechanical. Yeah, exactly.
It's difficult to kind of get that overlap feeling in there.
Mhm.
At least as for me, in terms of this specific animation, to be completely honest, is mainly because it's getting I've definitely got carried away in terms of, trying to overlap things. So it's a little messy.
Yeah.
So in terms, when you said reshoot reference, I think I'm definitely probably going to do that. And it probably would take me less time to achieve the things that you were talking about than to try to fix this. At least that's just my opinion, at least so far.
Well, I mean, like you could show this to me again. Like we keep picking away at it.
100%.
I think what I want you to do is definitely deeply explore the relationship of how things are not starting and stopping in the same frame. Also, think about looking for arcs, like when the weight shifts, you can maybe even dip the translation a little bit on the hips, so it doesn't just feel like it moves only laterally. It's nice to just have a little bit of that of other like just arcs in general are nice to add to animations. They just feel more natural when they have arcs. Right. Just the way it tends to work out. So there are that would be another area.
The very beginning, when I think there's a little dip, but again, it was just difficult to try to add.
Yeah, I see it right there. A little bit of almost an anticipation.
I
would have probably added one right here. So as she turns a little bit, she kind of just, like just kind of rolls a little bit. It's super subtle. It just has to just barely, like maybe not even visible, more like you feel it rather than you see it.
Right.
Can go a long way. Okay. Well, I mean, good work, man. I think there's lots of good stuff here. I'd be happy to look at this again anytime. So send it my way again on another stream or whatever. I think it's cool to have repeats on the stream, because then people can sort of, people that are also coming in checking out every once in a while can actually see how people are growing, and maybe it'll encourage them to also share their work so they can experience the same kind of level of growth. So please do not feel like you're hogging the airwaves. I only had the 2 to look at tonight, so we're kind of done. Does anybody have anything they wanted to talk about? Any subject they wanted to discuss? Thanks, Kevin, by the way. I'm gonna
no problem.
I'll sign you out here. Cheers. It won't, you'll still be in here. It's up to you to leave, but you're not gonna be on the stream anymore.
Right. Okay.
Cheers, dude. Bye. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything that people wanted to discuss at all? I don't know if there's anything that you guys, any ideas for the next stream. That I have a demo, as you probably know by now. I'm doing the demo streams are on Thursdays now, and the review streams are on Sundays. I'm just trying to break it up a little bit, just so that I can get a bit more coverage for people that might not be able to make the one slot. Also, it ends up being a pretty big stream. I feel like I'm kind of rushing the reviews because it's already kind of getting late after the demo. So this way I get to really dedicate some real time and just discuss and kind of dig into tangents and really flesh out a review rather than feeling like it's needs to get done in a certain amount of time. So if you have ideas for content for demonstrations, by all means, send them my way on Discord. If you're not in my Discord, then you can find the link. I fixed the link, seeing that people let me know that it was broken last time. The link is in my on my Twitch stream, my channel. If you go down in the about, you'll find a link to my Discord. It should send you right there. It's an open invite, so please go there, and that's where we're using to communicate between the streams. That allows you to also give me feedback, suggestions on content, and if you want your work reviewed like this, then you just have to dump it in one of the in the channel. iAnimate has a special channel that I tend to. I think that works. What you just did. I think I set it up to do that thing. Did it work? It did. Good Streamlabs to the rescue. You always know I can always pick out the veteran Twitch users when people pull the commands out, because what's kind of annoying is, like, if you're new, how would you even know to do that? I was looking for, like, it'd be cool if there was a panel, and I'm surprised they don't have one that, like, can be in my channel that down below, where you can scroll through all the commands for to Steambot. Steambot is Streambot. There, he's the little bot that the Streamlabs bot that comes with the subscription with Streamlabs OBS. It's pretty handy. What camera do I have? I am using a Sony A6100. I used to be using a Sony A6000, but there was I had a few issues with it for some reason. I don't know if it was just a bad camera or if it was just the firmware that didn't work as well, but it didn't like the dummy battery. I would turn it off after a stream, and if I wanted to turn it back on, it wouldn't work. It would just sit there flashing a red light. I'd have to take the power source, like the dummy battery, out and put it back in before it would work again. It was driving me crazy, but it's good. It's a quality camera. I think I mean, honestly, it's my first Sony camera. I'm a Nikon shooter. I bought this literally just for the stream because it's a relatively affordable camera. The 6000 especially. I mean, in the States, I think you can buy a Sony A6000 for, I don't know, probably like $400 or less, which is really cheap for how high a quality it is. Shoots 4K video. It's a workhorse. The lens, I think, is the real magic, because you don't usually see streams with a decent soft background. This is a 16mm Sigma with a 1.8, I believe, aperture. So it's rare to have a wide angle with that level of bokeh in the background, that nice soft depth of field. And if I get close to the camera, check it can really blur out quite nicely. It's pretty impressive. I don't know why it feels cropped. I think something happened in the settings. I have to take it off its mount and take a look at some of its settings. But yeah, great camera. I highly recommend the combination. It's the package of the two cameras together for 6,000 and I'm sure that's. I think I just had a lemon, and I think that was the problem with my the battery source, because I didn't see any people complaining about that online. But if I think the package of the 6,000 and the lens will cost you about 1,000 Canadian, which is like $2 American, I think. Just kidding. Actually, the difference between the currencies have changed quite a bit since the pandemic started, which is both awesome and sad at the same time, because I do contract work that pays me in American dollars, and so I don't mind. I like getting that little extra bump when I'm converting it back to Canada, a Canadian currency. But it means that if I'm shopping in the States, I don't get pinged as much on the conversion. Any other? I mean, I'm happy to answer any random questions like that. I love questions about the stream. I like nerding out about it. There was a big learning curve for me once Agora started, because we wanted to start building a lot of video content, and I've always been big into video. I've been shooting with Nikon, like I said, for a while. My primary video recording is done with a Nikon Z6. I really want to splurge to get a Mark II, because for a variety of reasons, but I'm still using the first one. And I'm also kind of cringing at the idea of having to send a camera back again to Nikon so that I can unlock its ProRes. You could shoot in you can shoot 4K ProRes, raw ProRes, or so was it Pro Raw? What's it called again? ProRes RAW, I think. Whatever. It's a kind of like a loss. I believe Apple's the one that created the codec, and so like shooting 4K RAW out of like a a small camera like that is pretty impressive. So the footage you can get and the kind of color grading that you can do is it's pretty awesome. So I like shooting that, but I mean, it's a little overkill for something like this because I mean, it's a live stream. So I like a camera like this. It just kind of looks good right out of the camera. Anybody else? Any suggestions for the next stream that you want to drop now? We could talk about it. Anything that you want to talk about the industry in general, career advice, anything, anyone, Bueller? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up and I will see you on Thursday for the next demonstration. What I'll probably do for the next demonstration is I will most likely do I'll do a stream of kind of a continuation of sorts of what I was doing. My end goal is to put some pieces together to sort of like, I'm showing a bunch of motion builder stuff. I'm showing a bunch of Unreal stuff. What I'd like to do is then start combining those things in an effort to do something kind of interesting inside of Unreal, like put all those pieces together. Like how do you use motion builder to create, to manage and create clips that I can then bring into Unreal so I can have a character moving around. Although that's going to require a lot more technical stuff going on. Yeah, please do. I'd love to have some mocap stuff to look at. I think I did that on the first stream. I just like the idea of having like a practical thing to do, like a goal. And I mean, that's good advice. I think for anybody really, like I find that I get interested in a lot of things. I get very distracted. And so when I want to learn something, the best way of really truly learning that thing is to dig into, like, make sure I give myself something that I'm trying to achieve, to accomplish. Without that driving force, then I tend to not focus on learning all the little bits to do the thing. Because I mean, like, where do you even start? That's the problem. I mean, a lot of people complain about when they're trying to learn something, you don't know where to start. I feel like that too. And I know quite a bit of things about about animation and about motion capture. But yet, when I want to learn more things, I'm like, I often don't know where to begin because I have interests across the board. I want to learn how to sculpt digitally. Like I never really properly learned how to use ZBrush. I'd love to learn how to use ZBrush. I'd love to know all the things. And I might even start a stream that's just this. That's like, hey, look, I'm an animator, mostly an animation director, but I want to start doing my own things. And so like, it kind of like, what do I do? Like, where do I start learning to be able to learn how to do the things? And just people could follow along that journey and maybe even mirror that journey on their own. If it's something that they too want to kind of learn how to do, like how to make their own little game. Like I would love to make my own little game, but there's a lot of things I would need to learn in order to do that well. So I think it'd be kind of cool. Like you'd be kind of following me all along on this journey. It won't be like, hey, look, I know all these things and look at me, I'm so smart. It's more like, I know some things, I know how to animate and I know how all these things fit together, but I don't necessarily know all the things in order to make a game. So, so what I would be doing is a lot of learning off camera and between the streams, and I'd be bringing the things that I've learned. So, you'd have to, the key would be, the caveat would be that the things that you're going to see on the stream are not going to be perfect. I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to be learning from those mistakes and I'll be laughing and crying about those mistakes. And you can laugh and cry with me and you can learn with me. Hell, the nice thing is you can you can live vicariously through me and you can try to I'll be able to step on the trap first so that, I lose my foot in the bear trap and you don't, for instance, or maybe we even share notes. I think it'd be great to bring some people on that have discovered some things along this journey and they wanted to share. Like, I feel like in Discord, they're like, oh my God, Brett, check this out. Look what I learned. I saw that you were trying to figure something out on the last stream. Well, I did a little looking myself because I was also curious. Well, look what I came up with. I would love it if the community would rally around this idea of building something like that together. And I might be the focal point where I'm the one sort of being the one taking all the information and broadcasting it out. But it doesn't have to be only me. And especially if I have a means like this, you can have a little guest spot on my show if you're willing to come in and we could talk about it, because I like the conversation. I think it's more interesting than me just talking to my monitor. I think it's a bit more interactive and a bit more interesting. Again, this is a new medium for me, so I'm trying to play to my strengths, and I tend to be better when I'm talking to somebody than I am when I just drone on and on. Let's see, what are we saying here in the comments? What could be cool? I can highlight this. It's going to take up like my whole screen. What could be cool one time is to do a demo and then challenge the community and make something branching off of the demo and then following the critique stream could be people submitting their projects they did based on the previous demo. Totally, honestly, 100%. This is already in the cards for me. This is something that I really want to do. So check this out. Let me field this. I'm going to get to this next comment in a second because that looks like a really good juicy comment as well. One of the ideas, and I think I mentioned this on another stream, I can't remember for sure. It's similar to what I just said. It's similar. What I've just proposed is a stream that's about my own private journey that other people can sort of influence and be a part of, and like, yeah, and can branch off of. Like, we can get to the point where it's like, I think we know how to do this thing now. So like, hey, everybody who's been following, why don't you go off and do the same thing? And then absolutely, as you're learning your own, bring in your work and I can critique it. So it's like kind of like this full circle. Everyone's learning together, but then I'm even giving feedback. And as I don't know how valuable the feedback will be, but what would be awesome is if there's, for instance, this kind of goes, and maybe I'll combine these two ideas. Let me tell the other idea first before I get into this, the continuation of this other stream of consciousness. The other idea I had is that, which is, I guess it is the same idea. What I want to do is it's just framing. It's framed a bit differently. Going back to having a purpose. What I wanted to do is I wanted to like make a retro game. I wanted to be like, okay, so let's take a game. Let me give you choices. Let's say there are a bunch of things that we like what if I were to go and look for through a bunch of games that I felt like would be reasonably within reach, right? Like I'm talking old school retro, like not so old school that it's like 8-bit, like, you know, Space Invaders, but something that's somewhat simple, like maybe like making a game like Fall Guys. Fall Guys seems simple enough for me to be able to make something like it. And I've already done enough playing inside of Unreal that I felt like I was getting close to it. Not necessarily with all of the things I would need to learn about effects and the interface and all the gameplay mechanics. There's a lot to learn there, but I think I would know enough. So what I would do is pick a bunch of games that I felt like were within reach and then let the community decide which one. So you guys would then decide, you guys and gals would be able to look at the choice and be like, vote on it, and then vote on the one. And that's the one I would actually end up trying to make. And then that starts me on this journey. And when we get into areas where I feel like, oh man, I don't know how to do this thing, and I think I need to bring in a coach, I'll bring in a coach. I'll bring in an expert that I know in the industry, because that's something that I probably have that a lot of you don't, is that you can't just tap your buddy and be like, can you come on my stream and talk about this stuff? So I can bring in guest stars every once in a while, and we'll have a special stream like this, which will be like a kind of a co-hosted conversation about, hey, look, so we'll drop this problem on them, and then they could be like, oh, okay, well, I see what you're trying to do. Let me, this, and this. And they can almost do a quick little sidebar class where we can all learn from, including me. And then it'll be like, now it's up to me and everybody else to try to use that knowledge to do something themselves in their own little game that they're trying to make. What's particularly interesting about doing it like this is that now, if you were to do these little offshoots, it's like everyone's trying to make their own game, right? They're all trying to make the same game, but they're adding their own little twist, and they're adding their own little obviously they're building the content on their own, so they're all going to look differently. And who knows? There is a good chance somebody out there is going to make a way better game than me, and that would be awesome. Because for me, I'm the first one who's going to admit that my game will probably not be the most awesome, because I'm new a lot of this stuff too. I'm trying to make an actual game. I'm going way outside of my comfort zone if I actually try to make it interactive and all the technical things that are going. So I can bring in special technical animator guest appearances, modelers, depending on where we are in the production, concept people at the very beginning when we're trying to think about art direction. So, I mean, would that be something that would be interesting? Would that be a cool, Valorant? Yeah. Okay. I'll get right on that. I just have to go through programming school first. That's why I'm going to make the choices so that I don't bury myself in something because I really want to make sure, and who knows, maybe we'll get, what would be ideal is at some point we do get to the point where, I could bite off something that complicated. If I could get to that point, because, and see, the interesting thing here is, this is interesting psychology here. I want to do this. I want to go on that learning journey, and I have access to people that I could tap to help me on that journey. But what I need is the motivation to do it. And nothing is more motivating than having a bunch of people that want to learn with me, that are going to come to my stream and they're going to watch and they're going to live vicariously through this and maybe do it a little bit on their own as well. And I think that would be, that would be pretty cool. And it would definitely keep me on it and driving forward. So, it looks like people are pretty excited by an idea like this. So I think I'm going to start something like that up, and and who knows where it's going to go. I think it's all going to start with a first special stream where we talk about what those options could be. You guys are going to vote on it. And then I think I'm going to probably wait till I'm at affiliate status just so I can have a little bit more control over what my stream can and can't do, which should be at the end of the month. I think and I can prepare a little bit for starting down a road like that. I'm going to want to try to brush up on a little bit of more of my blueprinting skills, especially when it comes to like the interfacing and stuff, just so I don't have to like, run into a brick wall too early in the development. And this will take weeks, of course, because although I'll be doing work between I'll have to guarantee a certain amount of time every week to put towards making sure I'm moving the needle a little bit. So it'll get a little embarrassing, a little awkward. Again, this is great peer pressure to get me to continue moving, is that knowing that I'm going to show up every week and I need to show something to you guys, I wouldn't want to come to the table with nothing. And although that might happen every once in a while because life happens, but I think it would be pretty cool. I'm voting right now where we all want to try to recreate Ryan's Valorant. Animation systems together, learning blueprints in Unreal. So yeah, Valorant I think is out of reach for the first one for sure. But if we can get to the point where we are trying to do something as complex as that would be pretty awesome. The most complex thing about Valorant, of course, is the multiplayer aspect. So for instance, if we were to try to do something like, hey, what the hell happened? Oh, there it is. If I were to try to do Fall Guys, I think the first version of the game that I would probably be making would probably not be. It would probably not be a multiplayer version, although maybe, why not? Like, I mean, if Fall Guys is for sure multiplayer, so maybe we just say that's what we're going to bite off right from the very beginning. But Valorant, there's like, it's competitive, it's complex, and it's something I would love to build towards. But remember, like team of like hundreds of people are typically contributing towards a game of that level of complexity. So that's why I'm going to make the choices on the first one at least reasonable. Where there was another great question or thing here. Okay, it was this. Many streamers are now using Blackmagic cinema camera. Oh, you just wanted to talk about cameras again. It's overkill in my opinion. It is overkill because at the end of the day, like seriously, like it'd be like, I'm going to buy a red camera. I'm going to like stream with my red camera. I mean, the power in those cameras, and Blackmagic especially is true here as well. It's in its bit depth. It's all the stuff that you can do only if you're going to do a bunch of post, a bunch of color grading, and a bunch of stuff to it after you record. But if it's going to go like live, all that it all gets compressed down into a really streamable signal anyways. So I don't really see it. It seems crazy. It just seems like streamers that are making lots of coin are just like it's just something they want to talk about by using some overkill camera. This is about as far as I would go. It doesn't make, in my opinion, it doesn't make much sense to go much beyond this, unless of course you're a streamer who's also going to be, if you're a streamer who is recording also to be building YouTube videos, then it makes sense. So there is a case for it, but that gets more complex. Now you need typically and this is something I'm working towards myself. I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea of how do I take things to the next level with the stream? What I'd like to be able to do, and that's another thing about this, this is automatically recording for me, but it's going to record everything. It's going to record literally the stream, the broadcast with the interface and everything, which is kind of annoying in a way because it doesn't give me the ability to then decide how to present the material myself later on in different ways. So I feel like what I'd rather have is like a clean camera, a clean desktop feed, and then also maybe the actual broadcast that I can mix together in an edit that's compelling on YouTube. I think that would be ideal. And I know OBS lets you do a little bit of that, but having another computer receiving some of these streams and recording as well allows you to have a little bit more options for doing some edits later on. I'm really happy to have you in here. You're saying it's the second time watching me and you're learning a lot. That's amazing. That's music to my ears. That's the reason why I'm doing this in the first place, right? I really felt like I wanted to. This space on live broadcasting seems to be really underserved in this very specific kind of conversation. There's this, Sir Wade's doing it, and he's probably one of the more popular. I know there's the Pratt brothers. They're doing some really great work in here too. But like, there's not a lot. So I like to continue doing this. I think that we can hope to see Agora pushing deeper into this market as well. I'm on it. Like I said, I'm on a scouting mission using my own streams as a learning curve and the things that we're going to learn from there. Because the cool thing about Agora is they bring more to the party that I wouldn't be able to bring necessarily on my own. Through my contacts in Agora, I can now reach out to some pretty big personalities that can be part of. So like going back to the idea of who would I tag to come in to help us on our concept? Well, I can bring in probably someone that's, a celebrity concept artist who's going to come in and talk us through. So it kind of turns into all these little mini masterclass that can be part of these streams, which is exciting as hell to me. I think that is exciting for me personally. I'm sure it's exciting to you because I can bring some really great personality and really quality content on the stream. And through that, the stream is going to become more popular, which is going to be more of a draw for, why someone might want to show up on my stream, because, they get some recognition by doing that because the numbers are good. My numbers are obviously small right now because I'm not even really, this is just really whoever's discovered me on Twitch, and my essentially my iAnimate alumni are the ones who are primarily dominating the bleachers right now. Anything else here that worth talking about? I was saying that, let's see here. I was saying that if you someday stream Unreal Engine, it would be awesome. I'm trying to learn the program. I've been watching you for 2 days, and I learned a lot already about animation. So I've already touched on, let me just leave that up for people. So I kind of got rid of it really quick. I have touched on Unreal already. I plan on, regardless, making it a regular part of the stream. And I mean, this is an older comment now. This is before I started going into this crazy train of thought on what I could turn the stream into personally, is giving us a purpose. So it's not just random like learnings. It's like learning things in an order of what you need to do in order to get things done. I would have to get through a bunch of probably uncomfortable streams where I'm not a specialist in some of the content if we were to truly do it like that. Although I can draw, I just haven't done it in a long time. So maybe I'll do some of my own concepts, but I really think it'd be more, I mean, I'm going to do all the work. So I will still teach what I know, but I think it's still interesting to bring in somebody who really knows something about concepts to give us all some hot tips on what we should probably do and things to think about when doing it. What else we got here? Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for bringing all the like, just like Sean, you brought your face, your voice, and your work this time, which is cool. Okay, well, I think that's it. I think you guys have probably exhausted all the questions or thoughts that you might have had. I'm always happy to see the feedback. Please keep it coming. I like to see some nice interaction in the chat there. So please do. Don't feel like, don't be a lurker. I mean, you're fine to lurk in the background if you want, but if you have something you want to contribute to the conversation, please do. I like to try to always double down on what's being said there in the chat. And I guess that's it. I think in the future, I can also find ways of leveraging a platform like this where if, people could maybe I'll find a mechanism. If you wanted to have a conversation, rather than just doing it in chat, you don't mind going live. You can actually, I can find a way of sending you the link so you can come live on here, but you'll probably need to be in my Discord in order to do that. But it'd be kind of nice if it's not just people who have prepared work to be reviewed. It might be that someone has something they want to talk about in a stream like this, and they want to go live on the stream and they want to just shoot the breeze for a while. That could be cool too in the future. All right. Well, I'm going to sign off. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for showing up to the stream. It always helps as I'm learning these things. It was a new platform today, something I haven't played with yet. Just a test I did with a couple people from Agora, but I didn't. But the plan tonight was to sort of see how it went in practice. And I think it went pretty well. I don't know how you felt. If you are on my Discord, please do give me feedback, negative and positive, because I want to hear it all. I want to know what you felt worked well, because I can't, I have my Twitch monitor over here, but I'm not watching it all the time. You've all been experiencing this from the seat of an audience member. And so I don't know where that gets sticky. I'm sure you're all probably feeling the way I am about maybe it being, I don't have a very active channel yet. So it's not like you're going to feel suddenly that there's a lot less fireworks going off in the background, because, there's not, that we had, I think, one follower join today, which is awesome. So thanks again for that person if they're still here. But, until we start doing bigger events, I don't imagine there's going to be a lot of activity of bits being used and cool, fun things that can go on. So maybe it didn't seem like any different today using this, but I think maybe down the road you might get used to more of that stuff happening once I can get a bit more activity going on in the chat, and we might feel it's lacking something when we're using something like Restream. But anyways, regardless, send me your thoughts, and I'd be more than happy to discuss. See you on the next one. I'll be here on Thursday. Until then, I guess I'll see you then. Cheers. I don't have a cool sign out video anymore. I'm going to do this instead. This cool thing here. See you later. Yeah, I know. It's funny because I see they're all here too, like 13 of you. I'm going to stop. Don't worry. I tried stopping, but I wanted to send this message. I kind of like, I couldn't get it out before the video ended. I didn't know how long that video was going to last. That's hilarious. Please. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just saying, don't know what I see you on Thursday. Don't know what I'm going to do yet, but please do send me via Discord any suggestions if you want to see. I really think I'll probably wait till January when I start this crazy, awesome stream where we go on an adventure together. But who knows? Maybe not. Maybe I'll start it earlier. I just need to be ready for it, and I'm going to be realistic. There's a lot of things happening on the Agora side too, so I need to be realistic with my with how much time I can put towards a crazy big stream like that. Okay, well, see you again for real. Cheers.